Hey there, guys. Alright, today we are back with some more potential history. Potential history is essentially saving my channel right now from dying. Legitimately, I've been looking at my analytics and potential me bringing back potential history has kind of saved me. It's keeping me afloat right now from, they're the only videos YouTube's recommending to people. They legitimately are. YouTube's like, you have like 20,000 less views from recommended, and it's like, well, it's because you're not recommending me to anyone. Fucking YouTube, this one's for you. That's totally gonna get this video flagged, because I swore in the first 1 minute. Anyways, this is the Slapdown in Surigao Strait by Potential History. Before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below, or the pinned comment in the comment section. You can click the link to my Kickstarter, go and read the prologue and first 5 chapters of my novel that I would like to self-publish, but I don't think I will have the funds to do it, which is why I need the Kickstarter to work, but I don't think it's working. Probably because I just don't know how to fucking market shit. I really don't. I'm terrible at marketing. Anyways, Surigao Strait.
The Battle of Leyte Gulf, Day 2, 11 p.m. The Japanese Southern Force enters Surigao Strait.
I've had to have watched this on TV when I was a child. This man's voice sounds familiar. Same with the animations.
6.5 hours later.
What's going on here?
Oh, sir, I'm arrested. Oh. So around the time I was doing my Battle Off Samar video, I had a patron join my highest tier who requested doing this video about the sister battle to that one, the Battle of Surigao Strait. And although they both took place within the same larger clash around the Philippines, they are both extremely different. To put it in a sentence, if the Battle off Samar is the naval equivalent to David and Goliath, the Battle of Surigao Strait is the naval equivalent to clubbing a seal. But more on that after a little backstory, which is basically the same as the Samar video, so I'll be sort of brief about it. This battle takes place during MacArthur's triumphant return to the Philippines in 1944 after being forced out in 41, and saw his push through the Pacific that had previously sort of taken a back seat to Nimitz's take center stage, with lots of resources being allocated to this campaign. And the general idea was to land here, on the island of Leyte, to begin the liberation of the Philippines. This, once achieved, could potentially cut off the Japanese home islands from the rest of their takings in Southeast Asia, and effectively cut the front in half. To counter this, the Japanese gathered most of the remainder of their naval force and devised a plan that would see 2 pincers come through the Philippines and destroy the landing force from the sea. The first was under Admiral Kurita, coming through the north, called
Admiral Takeo, fuck this shit, I'm up.
Center Force, which we already talked about. And the second was 2 groups under Nishimura with 7 ships, and Shima, also commanding 7, coming up through the south through Surigao Strait, called Southern Force. In the north, helping out Kurita was a 3rd fleet consisting of the last Japanese carriers that successfully baited away the majority of the American force, including all the large battleships, making the battle off Samar a very hard-fought win for the Americans. Nishimura, however, did not have this luxury, frankly because the Japanese Navy was too small at this point, and walked fully into one of the best naval traps ever made. The Americans knew that if the Japanese were going to approach the landing island from the direction that Nishimura eventually did, he would have to go through Surigao Strait. In preparation, they set various layers of ships to defend the strait, starting at the far end with PT boats that would serve as an early warning system and fire torpedoes. After that would be destroyers, who would engage with torpedoes and 5-inch guns, and behind them, at the mouth of the strait, were the cruisers and 6 battleships. Now,
just casually 6 battleships right there.
I have seen, for the sake of dramatization, the 6 battleships referred to like this.
Ahead of the Japanese ships is the last line of American defense before Leyte Gulf. 8 cruisers and 6 old battleships steaming across the northern mouth of the strait. They are all that stands between the Japanese and Leyte.
Which is
Okay, so the History Channel, of course, is trying to over-dramatize it and make it sound like, the USA is in trouble.
about the biggest understatement of the century. Only 6 battleships is like saying you're only fighting 3 superpowers. Anyways, 5 of these battleships, West Virginia, Maryland, Tennessee, California, and Pennsylvania, had all received various levels of damage at Pearl Harbor and would now get their chance to deliver payback firsthand. A few of these were also fitted with the newest radar-assisted targeting systems that would prove deadly in the upcoming battle. The Americans had seen previously how effective Japanese nighttime torpedo attacks could be, especially a few years prior at Guadalcanal, and this configuration hoped to minimize the chances of it happening again by being so well prepared for the incoming Japanese warships. Nishimura, on the other hand, seems to not have any idea what he was running into and was not communicating with the ships behind him under Shima due to strict radio silence and had no idea what was going on with Kurita. In the middle of the night on October
There isn't any real footage of the battle, so I'll be doing my best for visual.
25th, Nishimura entered the Strait, where American PT boats fired several torpedoes at him, none of which hit their mark. Undaunted, he steamed forward and ran into the destroyer line, where things very quickly began not going his way. His ships began taking hits from torpedoes, with, please forgive me for pronunciation, Yamagumo and Fuso being sunk after exploding due to fires, and heavy damage being taken by that one, that would later
Michishio.
sink, and Asugumo. Still not phased though, Nishimura
This is fine.
plunged ahead towards the rows of battleships with his remaining 3 healthy ships, Yamashiro, Shigure, and Mogami, hoping to break through the American line.
Oh my god, he's fucking stupid.
Once in range, the battleship zeroed in on him and began firing salvo after salvo at his ships for about 15 minutes at incredible rates. We're talking several thousand shells of all calibers in the span of 15 minutes, and only stopped because some destroyers were reporting friendly fire. Yamashiro, having been hit by, according to many estimates, hundreds of shells at this point, attempted to turn around and flee, but sank from its wounds a few minutes later, taking Nishimura with it. Mogami attempted to run, but sustained a lot of damage as well, including its bridge being destroyed, and was all but sunk at this point. It would later follow Shima out at the end of this battle, but was later scuttled. The only ship to really survive was Shigure, and this is not the only time Shigure narrowly escaped something like this. It had a sort of reputation.
Surviving Midway, Vela La Vela, the Battle of Empress Augusta Bay, Battle of the Philippine Sea, and this one, serving as a vital transport ship and escorted multiple operations in the super ship Musashi. A few months later, the luck would run out, having her fall victim to a torpedo in the Gulf of Siam while escorting a convoy from Hong Kong to Singapore.
For being a kind of lucky ship and had a few close calls previously. It is around this time.
I don't know. Okay, so hold on. Going off of the battles that it was in, I think that it's actually an unlucky ship. It's the one that survives, but everyone else doesn't.
That Shima's force came up behind Nishimura, and due to the radio silence, he had no idea what was going on. The very last transmission he had gotten was when Nishimura ran into the PT boats, and a lot had happened since then. I've also heard that Nishimura and Shima did not particularly get along, and this may have also had something to do with Nishimura's lack of warning. The Japanese military, everyone, undercutting each other all the way to war's end. Shima arrives on scene, seeing the one remaining ship from Nishimura's force, and burnt out and sinking hulks of the rest.
All right, who's not dead?
He attempted an attack, sending his sinking hulks of the rest.
All right, who's not dead?
He attempted an attack, sending his destroyers ahead to find targets, but due to the smoke from the large American barrage, they could not find any, and he withdrew. Arguably the wiser choice in this scenario. Although this battle on the surface seems a historical curiosity and not necessarily too much to study, I think it very well sums up the power balance between the United States and the Japanese at this point in the war, and the Japanese understanding of it. Whether it's Nishimura's insistence on a kamikaze-like drive through the American line as an almost foreshadowing to the debut of the kamikazes a few days later on the northern part of the fleet, or Shima's rather level-headed sizing up of the situation and waiting to fight another day, the rising sun had set on Japanese naval striking power in the Pacific. The combined losses suffered at all the battles around the Philippines, the Shibuyan Sea, Samar, and Surigao Strait, has made the Japanese Navy a shell of its former self, giving the Americans in the year or so to come overwhelming supremacy of the seas. But most importantly, this battle has a huge impact on naval warfare from the beginning of time to then, as it would be the very last battle in history where battleships traded fire with each other, marking the definitive point of the end of the age of the battleship into the age of the aircraft carrier, which is captured perfectly by this quote from historian Samuel Eliot Morison, who said, "One can imagine the ghosts of all great admirals, from Raleigh to Jellicoe, standing at attention as the battle line went into oblivion." Thank you to all my patrons.
And that was the slapdown in Surigao Strait. Now, this wasn't the best episode, because it's a very simple... It's the USA Club and a SEAL, like he said. It's just a smackdown. There's nothing really here. To really talk about. He does bring it in at the end, though, talking about that stuff at the end, just how things are transitioning, and how the Japanese Naval Command, Japan in general, is just a garbage fire right now. They're self-sabotaging themselves. They couldn't last because of the internal competitions that they had with one another. They just couldn't work together. And so that was the slapdown in Surigao Strait by Potential History. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.